Today, I wanted to talk about a topic not necessarily related to gameplay at all. It's kind of just something that I thought was really interesting. It's almost like life lessons, right? It's more of like a self development sort of mentality to kind of help reestablish not only your processes surrounding League, which I think is very helpful in the case of if you've read the title of the video, it relates to Faker and what he teaches about just us as human, right? Because as much as he looks like League of Legends AI, he has a lot of very human characteristics, and you can tell that even though he's literally the best player and the goat of the entirety of League of Legends and even esports, there's a lot of lessons that you can take away from someone even as good as him. And if someone like him can have these really sound principles and be able to just conduct himself with such a great mindset and approach to the game and just his life, there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be able to do the same. And I think that's why it's actually really important for things like games and in general, especially, that not only should we should dial back and remember like what we do it for. Like, we love the game. We don't there's a lot of distractions, and it's a byproduct of the way the game is designed to make it so that it can get very heated, right? Very toxic. Very you forget what you play for, but fundamentally, there's a lot of lessons you learn from the game and from someone who grinds it as someone like him, right? And what I'm referring to here is a speech that he did at a in a Korean conference for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So this is some big shit, right? Like, he is basically a celebrity, right? By all means. And someone like him, he's just a little gamer, just like the rest of us. And he is in this speech, he's clearly very nervous, and he's basically shitting himself, right? He just plays League. Like, what is he up here with like Korean celebrities and people who are like changing the world? This guy just knows mid lane, and very very well, obviously. But there's it's such a very different vibe, and I think I love the way he approaches a lot of things with the game and what he's learned through specifically. And I think there's a lot to take away from him, not only when we play, but also in life. So, for example, in this speech, I have notes on it. Basically, he ditches his speech, basically similarly how I'm ditching my notes here, but essentially, there's a Reddit post encapsulating a lot of it as well. And essentially, he hit success very early on, and he's been really grateful for being able to play for this long, right? But the big thing is, even someone like him, he's been through a lot. He's failed. He hasn't been a world champion for every single year he's played. He's had a lot of like troughs. There's been times that he hasn't even made it to worlds, I'm pretty sure. And we look past those times and we still think he's the goat. But someone like him, the amount of weight, the amount of pressure when people objectively think you're the best in the world, and there's so much weighing on your back, right? And when you can see his frustration, right? So there's points here, for example, where he would lose. Sometimes he would just vent his frustration, like many of us, right? He needed something, but then a common thing that I see in a lot of like books and other literatures or like other things or the other media that promotes, like, it's very important to be able to embrace failure. And even someone like him, he embraced that too, right? Even though he's like so used to winning, and it may sound like a given, but as much as we think it's a given, I really don't see it very often at all reflected in gameplay within the game. I think that mentality couldn't be further than the truth. Embracing failure, being able to just fall in love with that, and I just appreciate the game, no matter whether you win or lose. Obviously, League is a game where losing feels bad. Like, you get dove on wave 3 or 4, and then you lose 3 waves. They take your firstborn child. You're on like welfare after, and it feels really bad, right? But he has learned that level of humility to be able to just kind of like embrace that and celebrate that as a victory himself. So I think that's like something that's helped him grow a lot. And I think even for myself, when like obviously I'm just a guy, right? I'm not Faker, but even as just a guy, it helps. It has helped me to achieve my relationship with the game in the way that I'm looking for, and just generating that sort of enjoyment of the game, not even like relevant to the success in the game, just your relationship with the game and how it feels to just like think about and like fall in love with being able to um, all the motions of the game and the intricacies of it, right? That's what makes League um, so interesting and so fun, right? I don't care if like you're good at League or like what your successes are, right? The mindset. He mentions it here himself, right? It's the mindset that enjoys taking a challenge, right? It's we all like the game because the game is cool, right? We don't really care. Well, on the surface, we might care about like things like rank and things like that, but like at the end of the day, we just all like the same games, right? And being able to just enjoy the game, no matter if we get shit on, and being able to if you win, it's cool, but like I think what's more cool is just the game itself, and I think that's what he's trying to promote here. It is also partially the fault of the culture relating to the game, since it's been branded to be like the most competitive esport within all of esports, and people get really pressed over that, and there's a lot of emphasis on rank, and it's also a systematic issue a little bit, right? Because Riot has designed the game to be a little bit like this. So, but it further emphasizes the importance of things like one of the other qualities he mentioned, like humility, right? There's a lot of ego within the game, right? You shouldn't raise yourself up too much, and you shouldn't shit on yourself too much as well, right? Because those are both byproducts of caring too much or too little about what your performance is with the game, but more so just it's important to embrace that and being able to just look past that and look at the game, right? So that was basically like a lot of the summaries of like what was happening in this sort of speech. And he also brings up other points like you can't always ensure that you're doing the right thing. You should always have that like level of skepticism, right? It's just part of the process. And I think losing is just like there's obviously going to be a lot of external factors in a game like League, right? You only control one of 10 champions. This is, in my opinion, a really big source of frustration within the game, right? Because when we become results focused, or what we're searching for is the game itself, like the winning of the game itself, and there's only so much level of control you can have over that as one player. It's totally understandable why people get frustrated, right? Because people don't listen, they have different views on the game, it doesn't go the way expected. So when you're searching for the result, then obviously then it's going to cause that frustration. But what Faker's trying to promote here is that like, focusing on it's promoting the internal locus a little bit, right? Just focusing on what you can control, defining your successes and how you enjoy the game based on like your own internal metrics. That's how you can really build that relationship with the game for yourself. And I think almost every player can benefit from this. And if you're GOAT, if like the greatest player is, promoting these values, I don't think there's any excuse for you to have any level of like disrespect or not have the same level of humility that he has, right? And I think that's why I think actually this speech hits so hard for me. I just think like it shows how human he is, and he shows he's just one of us. Like he's going through it too. And I think that was basically the lessons I wanted to promote with this. I think this speech is super underrated. I think it's really great for promoting the great mindset with the game and great relationship with the game. So I will probably leave it in the description linked, because I think it's actually worth a listen, and I think it's really cool. And I think he's a great representative for the entirety of the industry. So I will leave that there. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And I think this is really cool. I just want to talk about it. So yeah, hope you guys have a good one.